Life Processes, Chapter 6, CBSE syllabus. Today we are going to study on autotrophic. Is explained in other slides of this presentation. Most of the discussions will be based on photosynthesis. Whatever the material you get in this clip is examination oriented and contain a large number of important points that you should remember to answer questions on photosynthesis. Maintenance of life. All forms of living organisms need materials to grow, develop, and synthesize substances needed for life. Especially energy is needed to maintain a state of order in living systems. For this, carbon-based molecules are necessary because they store and also release energy in cells in different types of chemical reactions. Mostly glucose, glycogen, and fats are very important molecules involved in energy transfers in animals as well as in plants. The word nutrition, you should know the meaning of it. It's a process in which organisms get materials and processes them into useful substances. That is nutrition. Green plants especially prepare their own food. For this, they take carbon and hydrogen from outside and prepare complex molecules, and that process is called photosynthesis. We shall study that in detail. All other organisms like animals and non-green plants depend on the food prepared and stored by plants in different parts. Energy is released and stored in molecules from the food substances by different processes in all living organisms. Plants store energy in the form of glucose, whereas human beings store energy in the form of glycogen. Autotrophic nutrition you have heard already many times, but simply means prepare their own food. Heterotrophic nutrition, hetero means different, type of nutrition means obtaining food. Prepared food is taken in different ways by different types of animals depending upon their body design, and such a type of nutrition is called holozoic type, meaning similar to animals. Organisms live outside sometimes and they have parasitic strategy for obtaining food. Some organisms live on dead and decaying materials. We call them saprophytic nutrition. Carbon-based molecules for energy requirements of autotrophic organisms are manufactured by the process called photosynthesis. You have studied this in lower classes and you may study this in detail in your class 10th also. Photo means light, synthesis means to assemble food from raw materials. For this, sunlight is the source of energy for all the reactions to convert carbon dioxide and water to glucose molecules. Site of photosynthesis or where it takes place means it takes place in the chloroplast in all the green parts of green plants. Now look at these three pictures here. The one I am pointing out is the picture of algae. They are very, very small plants. They'll be floating in the water. You cannot call them plants by looking at them. They are called in Kannada pachi. And here you have the another set of organisms. They are very microscopic in nature. They are called cyanobacteria, a group of bacterial cells. Another group of organism called seaweeds. They look like almost brown in color, but they have the ability to manufacture their own food. Therefore, all these are examples of autotrophic nutrition. Now, definition of photosynthesis, you must remember, it's a biochemical process in which raw materials like carbon dioxide and water will be converted into glucose in chloroplast with the help of sunlight and enzymes. Oxygen is given out as a byproduct in this process. There is an equation for it. You must remember the equation also when you are answering a question on photosynthesis. It takes place in step-by-step manner. All of them are biochemical reactions. We can divide them into two sets of reactions. One is called light reaction. That means light is essential for it. Second is called dark reaction, which can take place in the absence of light, or it's called light independent reaction. Sunlight, carbon dioxide, water and chlorophyll are essential for this process called photosynthesis. They may ask you a question on this to explain or show how do you prove sunlight is required for a photosynthesis. They may ask you a question on carbon dioxide to show an experiment to show that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. They may also ask you to show an experiment and prove how chlorophyll is important for photosynthesis. Of course, without water, plants will not be able to live. They may ask you several questions on these: sunlight, carbon dioxide, chlorophyll. So be prepared. Read your textbook from page 91 to 107 so that you will be able to learn all these things. The main source of all the reactions will be sunlight. Sunlight initiates the reaction and then that will be followed by many other biochemical reactions. Sunlight is made up of 7 colors like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet and indigo. Green plants give out or reflect green light and absorb all the other colors, especially the red and the blue have lot of energy, so the green plants trap that energy. That you will study in detail maybe in the higher classes. Now, important points on photosynthesis which you have to remember for examination. Intake of carbon dioxide and water from the environment takes place via stomata. These are openings present in the ventral side of the leaves, and also roots help in absorbing water by osmosis. Absorption of light energy takes place in the leaf by pigments called chlorophylls. Chlorophyll pigments, there are 4 types: chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, xanthophyll and carotene. All these will be able to absorb sunlight, but chlorophyll A and B are more important for green plants. Conversion of light energy into chemical energy takes place inside the chloroplast. Chloroplast will be present in the leaves, and chloroplast may contain several molecular material called grana, and grana may be helpful in photosynthesis. Splitting of water takes place in photosynthesis. That means water molecule breaks up into hydrogen and water, and that's called photolysis. That takes place inside the chloroplast. Then carbon dioxide enters the plant, and this carbon dioxide, that is CO2, will be reduced by hydrogen into a 3-carbon compound called phosphoglycerate that takes place in the chloroplast. Details we'll study in the higher class. PGA or phosphoglyceric acid, a 3-carbon compound, and that will be converted into 6-carbon molecule in this process. So end product of photosynthesis is the 6-carbon compound called glucose. Giving out oxygen also takes place in the photosynthesis, and that goes to atmosphere via stomata. I told you stomata are small pores present in the ventral surface of the leaves. All these reactions takes place inside chloroplast. There are two parts in the chloroplast, stroma and grana. Some reactions take place in stroma, a part, and many reactions take place on the grana, that is a part of the chloroplast. Reactions in this process goes continuously. That means when the day arises, sunlight gets into the leaves, continuous process goes on non-stop, side by side. Many things will be happening, and that will be converted into glucose, and that will be stored in the molecule. And complex molecules like glucose store food, that is the energy source in the plants, and therefore land plants absorb carbon dioxide during daytime. Please remember this. Desert plants absorb carbon dioxide during night time. You may ask me a question, why it is so? You have to find out an answer. Water plants absorb carbon dioxide that is dissolved in water. Energy is stored in the cells in the form of glucose molecules in all the green plants. Energy is stored in humans as glycogen molecules. That's also a 6-carbon compound, but slightly internal arrangement of atoms will be different between glucose and glycogen. Whether it is glycogen or glucose, when the biochemical reaction takes place in the respiration, energy is given out in the form of ATP molecules. ATP is a molecule, expansion of that is adenosine triphosphate molecule, and when the adenosine triphosphate molecule breaks, energy will be released. That will be used by all the living organisms for their maintenance and growth and repair. I told you, you must remember this summary equation for photosynthesis. See, 6 molecules of carbon dioxide require 12 molecules of water in the presence of light energy and chloroplast and enzymes. That will be converted into a 6-carbon molecule called glucose, C6H12O6, and 12 molecules of water is given out, along with 6 molecules of oxygen is given out. This you must remember. A leaf section is shown here for you to remember, and as I told you, the ventral surface of the leaf will contain stomata, small openings guard by guard cells. You can see carbon dioxide goes in and oxygen comes out after the process of photosynthesis, and then energy will be stored in the molecules as. Here is a picture of chloroplast, which I told you. Each chloroplast is a bag-like structure, a small one. It contains a large number of small carom coin-like structures. They are called thylakoids. Each one of the thylakoid is known as granum, and granum is the site where a large number of reaction takes place. Outside the thylakoids, you find the space filled with a liquid called a liquid. There's a lumen, or the liquid is called, that's called stroma. A complex material is present. If you look at this picture, number 1 is the outer membrane, number 2 is the inner membrane, 3 is the stroma, 4 is the grana, 5 is the thylakoid. Remember that, please. Here is an experiment detailed for you to show chlorophyll is essential. What is that you have to do will be, take a plant, variegated leaf means a leaf may have different colors, like the croton leaf or the money plant. They got yellow, pink, green pigments, and therefore I told you there are 4 types of chlorophylls. All these are present in these leaves. Keep the plant in the dark room. We keep it in the dark room because whatever the starch is prepared will have to be used by the plants, and then that will help us to test whether chlorophyll and sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. Now keep the plant in the sunlight for about 6 hours because reaction should take place, and take the leaf from the plant and make the green areas and trace them with a sheet paper. That means find out wherever green spots are there, you trace it out. Now boil the leaf in the water or sometime. To this add alcohol. When you add alcohol, chloroplast present in the leaf will be dissolved and leaf will be bleached out. It becomes almost colorless. Leaf becomes colorless. That is called decolorization of the leaf by alcohol. Now dip the leaf in the solution of iodine. Iodine is a yellow liquid, and when you dip it, you find within no time that some parts will become blue-black, some parts will be yellow. From this, you can say wherever the blue color is there, that is the one that contains the starch. Starch is the complex form of glucose. Many glucose molecules will join to form the starch. Therefore, presence of starch indicate glucose has been formed in the leaf. And this is an experiment you must be able to explain for your examination. Here a leaf I showed you. A leaf is dipped in the boiling water and then added chlorofluoride. That is, a part of the leaf is covered with the black paper where sunlight is not allowed to fall, and then it is tested for starch. We find that the part that was covered by the black paper will not be positive for starch test. That will be yellow in color. Other parts will be blue in color, means positive, indicating sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. 2 experiments which I explained to you are images taken from your textbook. Please go through these figures carefully and try to understand what they are. In this one, a bell jar is taken, a glass vessel, and a potted plant is kept here, and then a small amount of potassium hydroxide, KOH, is kept here. Potassium hydroxide has the ability to absorb all the carbon dioxide available in the space. You know what happens when carbon dioxide is not given to plants. You should be able to answer that question. In this figure, I have shown you here a croton leaf. There are some green parts. There are some yellow parts here. There are different types of chlorophyll, and this leaf is that is boiled in the water, added alcohol, and then iodine solution added. You can see some parts turn into blue color, others have not turned out. You should be in a position to explain why some part has turned blue and some part did not turn blue. Here again, in your textbook, page 97, this experiment is given to show that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. I showed you the Belger experiment. Please read that experiment completely. Study the points given here. You should be in a position to answer this question in the for your practice. You should know what is nutrition, differences between autotrophs and heterotrophs. What are the raw materials required for photosynthesis? How plants get these raw materials? Definition of photosynthesis, and you must practice to write equation for photosynthesis. Name two major steps involved in photosynthesis: dark and light reactions. List major activities of photosynthesis or points in photosynthesis. What are the products and byproducts of photosynthesis? Explain the experiments to show chlorophyll and carbon dioxide are essential for photosynthesis. And that will end that chapter on autotrophs. Read your acknowledgement. I am grateful to authors of Creative Commons and Diksha, from where some photographs I have taken. You are requested to read pages 91 to 97. They are important pages, and then you can answer the questions. If you want to understand the concept of photosynthesis, you must read your textbook at least 2 times. Okay? Thank you. With this, I will close this particular clip. Thank you very much.